Hello students, welcome. Today we will discuss about a small topic which is a part of positive psychology, that is nothing but altruism. You all would have heard the term altruism before, right? Okay, so let's see what exactly this altruism is. Altruism is basically, it is a behavior, okay, that is aimed at benefiting someone else, wherein you try to help someone else or you're into favoring someone else. And helping someone else, it is motivated with different factors. Okay, so basically there are two motivating factors of this behavior of altruism, that is personal egotism and pure empathic desire. Okay, so altruism is a behavior that is aimed at benefiting the other individual, and this behavior of benefiting the other individual is motivated by two factors, that is the personal egotism and empathetic desire. So before moving on towards what this means, I would like to differentiate between the two terms, that is altruism and empathy. Okay, so here altruism is a behavior. Okay, it is a disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being and welfare of the other individual, whereas the empathy, it is generally it is the understanding or recognizing the feeling of the circumstances of someone being yourself into it. So you're trying to understand the circumstances of the other individual by being through it, by going through that. That is empathy, whereas altruism is a behavior that you are showing towards the individual. So empathy is a part of altruism. As I have told you before, the altruism is motivated by two factors, the personal egotism and the empathetic desire, that is the pure empathetic desire. Now let us understand why this altruism exists, why this act is there in an individual. There are various reasons. We have biological reasons, we have neurological reasons, cognitive reasons, social norms as to why an individual get into this altruistic behavior. So the first thing is the biological reason, under which there is a term called as gene selection. Okay, so more altruistic are those like we show the more altruistic behavior towards those who are related to our blood relation. Okay, why? So that our genes get into them and they pass our genes into the future generation. That is nothing but the gene selection, which is the biological reason for being an altruistic person. The next thing is the neurological reason. There are different centers in our brain that gets activated when we are in a state of altruism. Okay, so we have pleasure centers which gets activated, that is the nucleus accumbens, and we have certain reward centers in our brain that gets activated, that is the mesolimbic dopamine pathway and the ventral tegmental area, that is VTA. The next thing we will talk about the social norms. Okay, so why to risk a life to save a complete stranger? Okay, why do you even care for an individual who is there outside? So one of the factor under that is the norm of reciprocity. So what do you mean by this is, at some situation the individual has helped you when you were in need of an help. So now when that individual is suffering, is in need of an help, then it is your duty or you are pressurized to help that individual. That is nothing but the norm of reciprocity, where you are reciprocating the help which an individual has given to you at that time when you were in need of that. The next reason is the cognitive reason, means to relieve your own distress. So for example, if an individual is there who is suffering a lot, so you look at that individual, you feel very bad. You don't want to feel bad looking at their condition. So to relieve your own distress and to get relief from your own personal tormentations, you get into this act of helping the individual. And then helping relieves the negative feeling. There is something called as negative state relief model, which says that to relax your own negative feelings towards the situation, you help an individual so that the negative feeling is completely gone at that point. Okay, so let's come back to the factors which I have told you, the motivating factors. The first thing is the personal egotism, the egotism motive, which says that the motive to pursue some sort of personal gain or to benefit through targeted behavior. Targeted behavior as in there is something you get into an act of helping. So as a result of helping that individual, you are getting benefited. That is the egotism motive. The essence of this position is that we care for the other people because it in turn benefit us to do so. So the prevailing factor in his here, I help because it benefits me. So by helping others, we help ourselves. That is the personal egotism, the egotism motive behind the altruism. So there are different forms of this particular egotism motive, like why do you get into this particular act, or how do you get things when you are helping someone else, keeping the egotism motive behind. The first thing is, if you help an individual, in turn you get public praise, like they start appreciating you, or you get self praise, like you feel good about yourself when you are into that act of kindness, you are helping towards someone else, so you feel very okay for yourself, you feel very good about yourself. So that is the self praise. The first reason is helping other individual gets you public praise or self praise. The second reason, or the second form of egotism motivated altruism, is that if you help an individual, in turn you will get some material rewards or honors. You will be like, the notion is not actually to get the material reward, but for say if you get into some volunteering behavior, or you're in a social behavior, you go and help individuals outside, and in turn they will recognize you and give you some sort of momentum or rewards. Okay, so that is what is the material rewards that you will get, and that is one of the form of egotism motivated altruism. The next thing is, you help an individual. I have already talked about the cognitive reason behind this is you want to lessen your own sense of personal trauma and your own sense of torment. So reduce your own negative feelings, you get into the act of helping someone else. Then other is, you want to escape from the social punishment or the personal punishment, right? If, for example, if there is an individual out there in a general public and he is in need of some help, okay, so you know that the individual is in need of some help, and surrounding by that there are so many people. So what do you do at that time? You have to help that individual because people are looking, you get that sense that people are looking at you. So when they are looking at you, you are in a pressurized term, like you have to help an individual. If not, the individual is there, you know the individual is suffering, you are there right next to that individual, people are out there, you don't do that. Later on, if something happens, if some negative things happen, so that guilt will remain within you, that I would have helped. The guilt of not helping that individual in a societal term. So that guilt, to avoid that kind of guilt, you help an individual. So that is also one of the form of altruism. Now moving towards the empathy, I have told you one more motivating factor of altruism is the purely empathetic desire. Personal egotism is focused on helping other to benefit yourself in terms of public praise, self-praise, material rewards, or to avoid the guilt or to avoid your personal trauma. Whereas pure empathetic desire to motivate an individual because you feel an empathic nature towards that individual, you feel the empathic feeling towards that individual, you try to understand the situation or the circumstances of that individual, you know how it feels to be in that situation. That is the reason why you get into helping someone else. Thank you so much, students. So we'll discuss about this in our next session. Thank you very much.